NREGA, we call it. Okay, we call it as MNERGS, that is Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme or Act. The virtual shutdown of all economic activities has resulted in a massive loss of livelihood. All this we have also seen. Nearly 400 million workforce in an unorganized sector has been of the worst affected sections of society. All these you have witnessed already, you all know that. So a significant part of this workforce has reverse migrated from cities to rural areas. In order to address this migrant crisis, the government has allocated an additional fund of 40,000 crore for MGREGA as part of the stimulus package under the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So you have to remember these schemes. So what was the main, you call it as a stimulus package, which was about 40,000 crore. If you remember the money, it's okay. But remember the term. The terminology is a stimulus package which was given to the migrant workers who all migrated from the cities to the rural areas, not from the rural areas to the cities. That is the main thing. And it was under this program called as the Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan. So with nearly 8 crore migrant workers returning to the villages and an additional allocation of funds could be a moment for the true revival of the NREGA. What is NREGA? Can anyone tell me? What is NREGA? I'm not asking the full form. I want the main objective of NREGA. Come on, children. NREGA.
To provide social security.
Yes, ma'am.
Provide work security, ma'am.
So what is the actual program of NREGA?
Every year there is 160 days of work or 150 days of work for sure, ma'am.
At least they try to give 100 days of work. If they are not able to give the job or provide a job, they will be providing them unemployment scheme, or they call it as unemployment pension. They give some money if the government fails to provide jobs to the people. That is the main objective of NREGA, so that no one will be what do you call it as starving, or they do not have food or something like that. The government takes care of the welfare of the people. However, in order to utilize the true potential of this scheme, there is a need to address underlying challenges of NREGA. No doubt about it, NREGA is a very good program. But as I said, that every program will have some disadvantages, and there is a necessity to address the main challenges or some problems which are associated with each and every scheme. So what are the first key features is that it is the largest work guarantee program in the world. No country in the world has such a big provision of providing 100 days of work or providing for employment pension. Then the objective is to guarantee 100 days in every financial year to adult members of any rural household willing to do public related unskilled manual work. It is not a skilled work. It is not a white collar job. It is only a unskilled manual work. It is not even done with machines. So like, for example, laying of the roads or construction of works, or some work which is related to developmental activities, which does not require any skill, any education, any qualification. Then legal right to work. That means, unlike earlier employment guarantee schemes, the Act aims at addressing the causes of chronic poverty through a right-based framework. Now, there are fundamental rights. You all know about the fundamental rights. In that, which right is removed and made it as a legal right? There are two rights which have been removed from the fundamental rights and they are made as legal rights. Now, the next question is, what is the difference between a fundamental right and a legal right? How many of you know? What is the difference between a fundamental right and a legal right? Come on, children, you should know. This comes in civics actually. Civics topics, when you are doing, you get this. What is the difference between a fundamental right and a legal right?
Fundamental right, we can go to Supreme Court directly to get writ petition. But legal right is something like right to property.
Right to property is that you can possess the property only to a certain extent. There are certain restrictions on that. How much of property you can hold is dictated by the government, right? Whereas in a fundamental right, if any of your fundamental right is violated, you can go to the Supreme Court and you can get it in your favor. But a legal right, it is not possible. Same way, right to work is also a legal right, not a fundamental right. Why it is not a fundamental right is that, suppose if I say right to work is a fundamental right, if I don't get a job, I can file a case against the government. Like that, if every person will file a case against the government, it becomes impossible for the government, because no government can provide so much of job security or jobs to all the people. So this is one of the rights which has come into existence, that is the right to work. So under the right to work, the NREG has come into existence, where it tries to address the problem of chronic poverty. What is chronic poverty? Is that where the people are constantly living in poverty without having the necessary funds to satisfy their basic necessities of life, of food, clothing, and shelter. You all know that in poverty topic, you must have learned about what are the main basic rights or basic services that a person requires. Is that you require 2 square meals per day, 2 pairs of clothes, and also a proper housing which will protect you from all kinds of weathers. Okay, if you are able to do that, that means you are able to give the people a basic standard of life. So right to work is nothing but trying to provide some income to the people so that they can satisfy their basic necessities of life. So NREGA is a part of the right to work fundamental right, or the legal right, under which they're trying to provide jobs. At least 1/3 of beneficiaries have to be women. One more important objective is that even women force also have to be given jobs. Wages must be paid according to the statutory minimum wages specified for agricultural laborers in the state under the Minimum Wages Act of 1948. So how are the wages fixed? The wages are fixed according to the Minimum Wages Act of 1948. You cannot say that I will give only this much. They have to follow the rule and the regulation. Demand-driven scheme. The most important part of NREG's design is its legally backed guarantee for any rural adult to get work within 15 days of demanding it, failing which an unemployment allowance must be given. This is considered to be the most important scheme of all the schemes of India, because within 15 days when you apply, you should be able to get the job. Failing, the government will be giving you an unemployment allowance, which is considered to be a very, very important program, and underlining program also. So this demand-driven scheme enables the self-selection of the workers. So that means the workers can be selected by the people, and also the governments will be providing the jobs. Decentralized planning. There is an emphasis on strengthening the process of decentralization by giving a significant role in Panchayat Raj institutions in planning and implementing these works. What is decentralized planning? Is that trying to involve each and every person so that they will be able to designing and as well as implementing the works in order to achieve the development. So mainly they are giving importance to Panchayati Raj institutions. Can anyone tell me what are the Panchayati Raj institutions we have in our country? What are the Panchayati Raj institutions? Come on, children, answer.
Ma'am, these are local self-government.
What are they? What are the rural urban bodies, rural local bodies? Local self-government is correct. Under the local self-government. Yes, ma'am.
Zilla Parishad.
Very good. Jilla Parishad, Mandal Praja Parishad, and Village Panchayat. These are the 3 important rural bodies. So the NREGA concentrates on these 3, by which they will be planning and also implementing the works, so that you will be able to bring development from the grassroots levels. What is the grassroots level in the Panchayat Raj institution? Is a village panchayat. Above that you have the Mandal Praja Parishad, and above that you have the Zilla Praja Parishad. So if you start from the village panchayat, that means the entire district is developed. So all these people will be involved in planning and implementing the work for entire district. So the act mandates Gram Sabhas to recommend the works that are to be undertaken, and at least 50% of the works must be executed by them. So there is also an act that is made wherein you have the Gram Sabhas. Where do you find the Gram Sabha? Once again, Gram Sabha is found in the village panchayat. So the village panchayat is supposed to recommend the works. So for example, if you take in a village, there are no roads, there are no wells, there are no hospitals, something like that. So first of all, they have to identify. Then they should allocate this work to them, and 50% of the work should be executed by these people only. Which people? The people who got the jobs under the NREGA, they should be given these work so that they will be completed. So the Gram Sabhas are supposed to design and recommend the works, and 50% of the works will be completed by these people only. Am I clear with that? This is the NREGA Act. Now, what are the challenges? Okay, all this is said and done is very nice to hear as such, but what are the challenges? The challenges is that the allocation is the highest allocation. Okay, first one is inadequate financing. In our country, the major problem with all the Panchayat Raj institutions is that we do not have proper funds. If you don't have the funds, how are you going to implement the programs? So the first thing is that this year's allocation is the highest allocation for NREGA in any year since the passage of the law. That means this is because of the COVID-19 and all that. This year the allocation is very high. However, the allocation amounts to 0.47% of the GDP, continues to be much lower than the World Bank recommendations of 1.7% of the GDP for the optimal functioning of the program. So the NREGA program will be successful only when the government is able to provide 1.7% of the GDP. That means that is the amount of money that has to be allocated, but it is very less in our country. As I told you that financial is a problem for us. Due to lack of funds, state governments find it difficult to meet the demand for employment under NREGA. Now, suppose if you fail to provide the jobs, you have to provide them unemployment allowance. From where do you provide the money if you don't have the funds? So the state governments faces a lot of problem when they have to give the unemployment allowance because they are not able to provide the jobs to them. This is the next challenge. So first challenge is inadequate financing. Second one is that the state governments are finding it very difficult to give the unemployment allowance because they do not get the money as such. Next is delay in payment of wages. Most states have failed to disperse wages within 15 days. That means as soon as you start the job. Actually, when you talk about wages, how are wages paid? Can anyone know? What is the pattern of payment of the wages?
Daily.
Okay, it can be daily, it can be weekly, it can be twice a month. Also, it can be taken. So, if you take the NREGA says that within 15 days, that means for every 15 days, the laborers or the people who are all employed there should be paid the wages. But the states are not able to pay them because they are not able to get the money. In addition, the workers are not compensated for a delay in payment of wages. Now, suppose if you don't pay within 15 days, you have to pay some compensation extra. Some 1 day wage or something, you have to pay extra. So that also they are not able to pay. First of all, they are not able to pay the wages. On the top of that, from where do they pay the compensation? These are the problems. This has turned the scheme into a supply-based program, and subsequently, workers had begun to lose interest in working under it. The next one we talk about is that because of this supply-based program as such, and workers are not having any interest. Why? Because they are not paid within 15 days, they are not getting compensation, the works are not proper. These are the main problems we face when we are talking about the NREGA scheme. Then the next one is that what is the role of the Panchayat Raj institutions? This, I think, Aditi and all, you must have learned in 10th class. Aditi, you are in 10th, I think, or you are in 10th only, no, Aditi?
I'm in degree first year, ma'am.
Very sorry. I'm sorry. Okay. So anyone in 10th class here? Okay, fine. So there is a chapter in 10th class which is called as federalism actually. So I do not want to go into that actually. So I'll just go to Panchayat Raj institutions. Now, if you say take the Panchayat Raj, that is the village Panchayat, the Mandal Praja Parishad, or you talk about the Zilla Parishad, for example, if you take, these people do not have, or these institutions do not have much autonomy. What do you mean by autonomy? What do you mean by autonomy? Come on, children, simple word it is. What do you mean by autonomy?
Autonomy means the whole power vested in one person's hand.
Autonomy, not autocratic.
Divided between state and center.
Autonomy is freedom. Autonomy is freedom. Freedom. So if you take the Panchayat Raj institutions, whether you take the village Panchayat, Mandal Praja Parishad, or Zilla Parishad, for example, if you take, they don't have any freedom. The state government will be controlling these three institutions, as a result of which sometimes they are not able to implement these programs in a very effective manner and efficient manner also. This is also one more reason why the NREGA is losing its importance. Large number of incomplete works. There has been a delay in completion of works, and inspection of projects has been irregular. There is an issue of quality of work and asset creation under the NREGA. So there is a delay. That means lack of interest. The officials are not interested, the workers are not interested, and there is no proper inspection. See, when we take a particular job or when some work is going on, some supervision is needed. Who has to supervise? The government officers have to supervise. But unfortunately, the officers do not come. They don't even check whether the work has been done or not. That means, in a way, the funds which are allocated are wasted. They are not utilized properly. The works are not being completed, and also the quality of work also will go down naturally. Suppose if you take, for example, I and Shailja ma'am are there. If Shailja ma'am is not there, will you all attend the classes regularly? If there is no supervision, whenever you want, you will come. Whenever you want, you don't come. So in the same way in office also, if there are no heads, if there are no officers coming and inspecting you, the work will be pending like that. The quality of work will come down. If the quality of work is coming down, how do you create assets? What are assets now? It can be a building, it can be a road, it can be a project, it can be a bridge. That is an asset that becomes an asset for an organization or for the country. So if all these are not there, then everything goes haywires. Okay, this is the next important challenge that is faced. Fabrication of job cards. There are several issues related to the existence of fake job cards, the inclusion of fictitious names, missing entries, and delays in making entries in job cards. These are very common things that we find. Even if a person is not there also, a card will be issued for him in his name, and somebody else will be working in that name, and some people are already working but their name will not be there. A person who is not there, his name is there in that, and also they don't make entries. That means the maintenance of the records are not, their names are not entered properly. So fabrication of that means this all happens. High levels of corruption. That means the people who are interested, even if their people are not there also, they will try to include. All this is very common in India. This is where, when you talk about the civil services, these are the things you have to concentrate. How do you try to remove corruption from the society? That means, as I already tell, that the central government, the state government will make the schemes. The schemes have to reach the people whom they deserve. But what is happening is that the central government and the people who have to get the benefit, there are some people who are called as middlemen. These are the people who are not allowing this particular schemes to reach those sections of society which deserve or for whom the schemes are made. This is what you call it as fabrication of the job cards. Fabrication means who are not there, they are there. Who should be there, they are not there. So the beneficiaries are really not getting anything from the scheme. This is what you call it as NREGA. Am I clear with all these problems? One is that inadequate finance, then is delay in payment of the wages, then you have ineffective role of the Panchayati Raj institutions. There are a number of incomplete works and also fabrication of job cards. So what are the steps to be taken? State governments must ensure that public work gets started in every village. Workers turning up at the worksite should be provided work immediately without much delay. That means, first of all, the state government should plan out the programs. What is a program in a village? When should you start? How many days it should be there? How many workers are needed? So immediately when the worker comes to the work site, give him a job, and so that he will start without any delay. If you don't give him the job, that fellow will lose interest. That is the first step. Second step is that the local bodies must actively reach out to returned and quarantined migrant workers and help those in need to get the job cards. This is what in Uttar Pradesh it has happened in many other places because of the COVID, because many migrant workers have shifted. The governments have taken up the responsibility to see that they will return back And also they will also try to give them the job cards. There are some issues also, incidents also, where some of the supervisors, the contractors, they have arranged buses for them to get the families and the people from their villages also. That is also one more step by which you are able to get back the workers to the job. Adequate facilities such as soap, water, and masks for the workers must be provided free of cost at the works. And this is the next step after COVID. These are all being provided. That means washing of the hands is compulsory, pure drinking water is required, and masks are to be provided to the workers for free of cost. You cannot charge them because you want to provide them a proper atmosphere. At this time, there is a need to speed up the payments to NREGA workers. Preferably, cash needs to reach the workers easily and efficiently. So when are you going to motivate the workers? Is that when you are able to provide the wages in cash on time, promptly. If you do that, definitely the workers also will be interested to come back to the job. These are the short-term measures. Then what are the long-term measures? The pandemic has demonstrated the importance of decentralized governance. That means you have to decentralize, you have to see that everyone will get the job, and not that I have to get the order from central government, then only I will do it. It's not like that. You have to give the powers to the lower bodies also. Gram panchayats needs to be provided with adequate resources. First and foremost thing is that the village panchayats or the mandal praja parishad, they should be given proper resources, powers and responsibilities. Very important is power and very important is responsibility. That means the gram panchayat should have the right to take a decision. Suppose if they want to implement or they want to start the work, they should take immediately. Not that no, I have to take the permission from the state government, I have to take the permission from the central government. By that time, that there will be a lot of delay. Instead of that, you delegate the power to the state government, to the gram panchayat, so that they will take a decision and they will also have the responsibility to sanction works, provide work on demand, and authorize the wage payments to ensure there are no delay in the payment. So all this work of creating the jobs, creating the work, giving the work, doing the payments, everything, the right should be given to the gram panchayats. Then the NREGA scheme will be successful. That means you have to delegate the power, decentralized authority. Don't try to see that it is concentrated in the central government or the state government. NREGA should be converged with other schemes of the government. For example, Green India Initiative, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, all these should be integrated. That means a number of schemes should be integrated so that this will become more effective. Social auditing creates accountability of performance, especially towards immediate stakeholders. Hence, there is a need to create awareness regarding government policies and measures in the rural areas. What is social auditing refers to is that how far the people are sorry, how far the people are able to know about the schemes, sorry, what are the various policies and what are the measures that are taken up in rural areas. This is also very, very important. The government should know this properly. Who are the stakeholders here? The government, the people, everyone who are involved in the village are called as the stakeholders. So NREGA is a bottom-up, people-centered, demand-driven, self-selecting, right-based program. Thus, it remains crucial for integrated resource management and livelihood generation perspective. So these are all the important aspects of MREG. It is a bottom-up. That means we are trying to get the downtrodden people to the raise their standard of living, demand-driven. That means there are so many people in India who require jobs. So that is a demand-driven, self-selecting. That means I can select what job I want. And right-based program, I'm talking about the right to work. Under that, I'm trying to get the job. So it is a very crucial program, integrated resource management and livelihood generations perspective. Okay. Then you have the MSMEs, micro, small, and medium enterprises. Worldwide, MSMEs have been accepted as an engine of economic growth and for promoting equitable development. In any country, if it has to progress, if it has to do anything, for example, first and foremost is that you should have small industries. Every country cannot have large-scale industries. Large-scale industries should be there, but the small-scale industries play very important because they are the engine of economic growth and also providing for equitable development. If you want an all-round development in the country, you require even the small-scale industries also. They constitute 90% of the total enterprises in most of the economies and are credited with generating the highest rates of employment growth. So the small scale industries do not require skill, they don't require technical expertise, they don't require education, you don't require engineers here, you don't require the person who is very highly skilled. Some important works, if you know, small works, if you know, then you can run an industry. So they constitute 90% of the total enterprises and are considered to be generating the highest rates of employment growth, especially in a country like India. So that is the reason why the government has come up with this concept called as MSMED Act. It is called as a Micro, Small and Medium Development Industries Act. It is called as. Okay, with low investment requirements, operational flexibility, and the capacity to develop appropriate indigenous technology, SMEs have the power to propel India to new heights. So what is the main advantage of an MSME is that low investment. You don't require crores. Few amounts is required. Operational flexibility. That means wherever you want, you can establish the industry. It is not required that you should set up only at a particular area or a place. And the capacity to develop appropriate indigenous technology. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by indigenous technology? Can anyone
Made in
tell?
the same country.
Yes, ma'am.
Made in the same country.
Yes, indigenous technology is that which is developed in our own country. We develop our own technology. We don't import any technology from anywhere. So this MSMEs are giving the example. I can give you the example of startups. Startup is an example of indigenous technology where people are trying to have their own startups. They are starting their own companies and they're also providing jobs also. So they have a very great capacity to take India to great heights. That is the reason why it is said that India has the largest startup citizens in the world. If you take India has the largest startups, which no other country in the world has. Hence, it seems like there is a silent revolution happening in India powered by MSMEs. Like just now I told you that India has the largest number of startups. You don't find so many startups as such. Can anyone tell me what is a startup?
Ma'am, companies having less than 10 years and the profit is less than, the turnover is less than 5 crores.
Yeah. And also a startup is that where you come up with your own technology, you try to manufacture your own products, and you are also the job creators. Basically, you are the entrepreneurs who are starting your own industry with some knowledge or with some technical expertise as such. So this is what we call it as a silent revolution is happening in India, which is powered by the micro, small and medium enterprises. So what is the importance? First one is employment. It is the second largest employment generating sector. After agriculture, it provides employment to around 120 million people in India, which is considered to be the greatest achievement. Contribution to GDP with around 36.1 million units throughout the geographical expanse of the country. They contribute around 6.11% of the manufacturing GDP and 24.63% of GDP from the service activities. That means our manufacturing sector will become strong with MSMEs. That is a major drawback in our country because manufacturing sector contribution to the GDP is very less. Even now also agriculture contribution is more compared to the service sector and the secondary sector. So through the MSMEs, we find that the GDP contribution or the contribution of the manufacturing sector and the service sector activities is constantly increasing through the MSMEs, which is considered to be a very good bright light, we can say, for India. MSME ministry has set a target to up its contribution to GDP to 50% by 2025 as India becomes a $5 trillion economy. So the MSME now has set up a target that by 2025, now it is only 24% and 6%. They want to make it 50% by 2025 because India is poised to become a $5 trillion economy by 2025. Next is it also contributes to about 45% of the overall exports from India. That means we are exporting goods worth of 45% of our exports. Inclusive growth. It promotes inclusive growth by providing employment opportunities in the rural areas, especially to the people belong to the weaker sections of society. That is the most important thing. That means covering the rural area people is the most important aspect of the MSME. For example, khadi and village industry require low per capita investment and employs a large number of women in the rural areas. You can talk about the agarbatti making, the candle making, then you have the matchbox making. There are so many small things like you have the baskets and all small things which comes that all comes under the khadi and the village industries. Financial inclusion. Small industries and retail businesses in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities create opportunities for people to use banking services and the products also. So they try to even get the loans for these for people who are all called as a Tier 2 and the Tier. That means we are not talking about the metro cities. We are talking about the cities which come under these categories also. Promote innovation, like I told you just now that it provides opportunity for budding entrepreneurs to build creative products, boosting business competition and fuels. So that means they have to come up with new products and which are considered to be sustainable, economical also. Thus, Indian MSME sector is the backbone of national economic structure and acts as a bulwark for the Indian economy. In physics, you learn this bulwark by which you pick up the entire thing, load machine and all that. Suppose if you want to pick up a very heavy thing, you use this bulwark. Same way, the MSMEs are also working like a bulwark for the Indian economy, providing resilience to ward off global economic shocks and adversities. That means India is one country wherein if anything happens in the world, immediately our economy gets a shock. So these MSMEs will be providing, or they are like a shock proof or a shock absorber by which they will be protecting the Indian economy from all these economic shocks and adversities also. So the MSME redefined, as I told you just now, there is a bill that is made, the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Bill 2018 proposes to reclassify all the MSMEs, whether they are manufacturing or service providing enterprises, on the basis of their annual turnover. So you should learn this. Micro enterprise manufacturing investment is 25 lakh, services is 10 lakh, annual turnover is 5 crores. Small scale enterprises 25 lakhs to 5 crores, 10 lakh to 2 crores is investment in equipment, and annual turnover is 75 crores. Medium is 5 to 10 crore, 2 to 5 crore is investment. That means we have two types of industries. One is called as manufacturing, one is called as services. Okay. Before I proceed, what is the difference between a manufacturing and services sector? Or a unit. For example, if I say manufacturing unit and the services unit, what is the difference? Quickly. Time is getting over fast, children. Difference between a manufacturing unit and a services unit.
Manufacturing produces goods and services is only about services. Like
That is, they
customer
provide
care.
only the services. Yes, they provide only the services. They don't have big equipment is not required. They don't require machine. They don't require plant. So the amount of money that is required for a manufacturing unit is higher compared to the services unit also. The bill was introduced in the Lok Sabha and further referred to the standing committee, which tabled its report on December 2018. Benefits is the new classification would eliminate the need for frequent inspections, which was earlier required to check the investment in the plant and the machinery. It would be a non-discriminatory, transparent and objective criterion also. So should I stop here and continue next week, because there are so many things in this. Yeah, there are so many things are there. So I will come back to the class. I think this is better only, children. I think some important issues will be there. So this I'll be covering next week maybe. Then I'll be forwarding. I will not send that inclusion because sir has already put the document. I don't think I have to send it again. Okay. I hope I am clear, children. I'm not troubling you or boring you. Or am I going very fast?
No, ma'am.
No? Are you able to get it? Yeah?
So,
okay, Shantanu.
yeah,
Anything
Shantanu.
else? Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. Whatever they have summed up, anybody who can, tell about what happened in the class today? Brief in 2 minutes. We have only 2 minutes. Anybody who can sum up what happened in the class? See, your active participation and reading it is very, very important. And for Aditi, Vikram and Vishnu, I think so you should start writing the essays for mains also, because once you get selected, there won't be much time for preparation for mains. Aditi, Vishnu should start writing the essays. Yeah, today I will share 4 topics. You can plan according to your schedule during the college, right? Whichever day you're free, you can write down and submit it to sir personally. So you can give hints and he can help you out with improving your writing skills. Okay. Yeah. So today's class, anybody can sum up? 1 minute.
Ma'am, we talked about Mahatma Gandhi Act and about various unemployment schemes, like how to get employed somewhere or another. In this topic.
And also about the MSME. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So please go through that
Startups
again.
also.
Go through the notes clearly. We'll conduct test, Shamla ma'am. Sometime
Yeah.
we'll plan for that. I will discuss with you.
Sure,
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye
children.
then.
Have a nice weekend. Yeah. Bye. We'll meet next.